But anyway, in my opinion, this thing is like the Honda of bicycles. In 2,000 miles, what have I had mess up, go wrong, break? At 1,500 miles, I had to do the chain. And I probably let that go a little long because it was starting to affect the shifting. It probably should have been done at like 1,000 or 1,200 miles. We're now at 2,000 miles. And the rear, looks like the rear hub bearings are shot. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. So at 2,000 miles, the front's still solid. Front doesn't move at all. So I'm gonna take it in, have the bearings done. I think you need a special tool to pull those bearings out. This has been a very good bike to just get fit on, and I even raced this bike, and at 36 pounds I even had the timber bell on it when I raced it. It did good. And you know, it's funny because you think I'm 50 plus, you know, I'm 56. You race and you think, you know, you're fit because you're over 50 and you're still getting it. And you think, it'll be an easy race. I'll go race, you know, with all the other old guys and I'll smoke everybody. And it's a lot of other people that think exactly like you and they're faster than you think. So it's just funny. It's like, I guess, birds of a feather. I don't know. But I kept, when I bought it, I think it was the XR2 tires. I had changed the tires when I bought it at the shop because I didn't want the real aggressive. I knew I was going to be rolling fast. I had the XR2 tires on. I really liked those tires. They wore out, and I had been looking online. Everybody was like, oh, these Victoria Mezcals and Barzos, like the hot setup. The Mezcal's okay. It's not a bad tire. I do not like that Barzo at all. I would not buy that again. I guess it depends on where and how you ride. I ride mostly dry, some soft sand, a lot of hard pack. And I'm not even sure it's entirely the fault of that tire. It could be because they're different tires. I had the XR2s on it. When it would go, when you would push it too hard, both tires would slide at the same time. And that's very predictable. It's not sketchy at all. With this setup, the front just goes without warning. And I haven't crashed because of it, but it's sketchy and I don't like it. And like I said, I don't know if it's just because it's a different tire than the rear, or it's the tread on what I'm, you know, the terrain that I'm riding in. I don't know, but I would not buy another one of those bars. I would almost put the Mezcal on the front and see how that does. And just run 2 Mezcals. You know, if you're rolling for time, you don't want big honking knobs. You want something minimal that's still going to give you some decent grip. So it's a fine balance to walk. But I thought for sure that the forks needed rebuilding. They haven't leaked oil. There doesn't seem to be any change in performance. So I'm not just going to do it because of the mileage. When I notice something, I'll do it. Same with the rear. The rear's been fine. It's a really good setup with the rear. I like the way that this linkage works because you can stiffen up the rear suspension by applying power. So if you can stay seated in climbs and over rough terrain, this thing's like a tractor. The downfall of this design is when you're standing up and pedaling and hammering hard, and then it pogos get pretty bad. For the way I ride, I love this suspension. It can do a lot more than what I do with it. I'll give it that. And it's funny because even the finer balances of working things out between tire pressure, suspension pressure, rebound, all your settings, there's a lot going on there to figure out to get, you know, the bike to do what it needs to do for where you ride. But so, yeah, I put cheapo pedals on it. They spin like crazy. I put a video up about how I did them, and people lost their minds because they were like, you can't use WD-40. That's WD-40 that's making that pedal fly like that. And these are cheap Amazon pedals. So, but water bottle placement, it's small. You can only use a small bottle. I think there's a hack where you can slide this down and use a bigger bottle. That's a bad design, the way they did that. They could have done better. The brakes are fine. Brakes have been fantastic. I like the way they feel. If you're going to go The most I'm running and downhill when I go is like maybe 20, 21 over roots and stuff. This bike is stable, like fine. And coming from a guy that rode motorcycles, I was really worried about that because I was like, I didn't know how hard you can push the suspension on a mountain bike. You know, having this now like 2 years, I now know, and it's pretty good. It'll take more than what I do with it, that's for sure. The way that it rides, it's very firm on the suspension when you're sitting, so you can make time, and that's what I look to do. I like to make time, keep fit. Yeah, that's the only issues I've had with the bike is just so far. And I mean, that's amazing to me. It's like very little maintenance on this at all. You know, you wash, do the chain lube, keep the chain nice. I did raise the bars, but that was just a personal issue. I was having wrist issues from riding, so I went with a little bit of a higher bar to take some off of the wrist. And yeah, it's just been a solid bike that I just, you know, throw it on the back of the truck, go ride. Every, 5-6 rides, wash it off, loop the chain up and clean it. It's been trouble-free, so, this is not an expensive mountain bike. This is the bottom of the line for the Top Fuel lineup for Trek. This is the 5, so there's nothing fancy on it. And I do notice the riser post is getting a little bit of play in it, sideways play, but it's still acceptable. It doesn't bother me when I ride. And like I said, 2,000 miles on a bike, I can't complain about this bike at all.